Okay, before we begin, there actually is a bug that we have to take care of. If we hit play, and we go to our history, and we go back, and we try to type in our name, nothing happens when we hit enter. If we close the game, you'll notice that we got errors when we're playing in the editor. Go to show message, it's because access none trying to read property dialog context in our dialog blueprint. So the reason that's happening is because when we remove ourselves from the screen and then we put ourselves back on the screen, the event construct, it's called here, let me show you that. Let's hit play, start, and select our dialog. Go back to our game and go back to our history, and then when I hit this back button, you'll notice that this get executed. The event construct gets executed, and so when it does, it creates a new dialog and it sets the dialog, and for some reason it's not valid, but we'll take care of that later. Anyways, so that's going to be a big problem, so let's move this out of the event construct. So we're not going to have event construct anymore. We'll just make another new event. We'll call this add custom event. We'll call this start dialog. Sure. Let's compile, save this, and back in our menu, when we create our when we create our dialog, we'll also tell it to where is it? Here it is. We'll also tell it to start dialog. Wow, I really should have called it something else, considering how there's already a start dialog function in the DOG functions, but whatever. Let's compile, save, and play again. Start, go to our history, go back, and say trash, and we're able to move on now. Okay. So that takes care of that problem. So if we go back to our editor, let's work on our options menu now. We're only going to do two options for now because they're the only ones we can really affect. They're going to be the show unselectable options and our text speed. Obviously the voices options will come when we actually implement our voices and music and stuff, but that's going to come later. So let's go here, go to user interface, widget blueprint, and we will create our options, or w_options. Let's save this, and technically speaking, we don't actually really need to do this. We could just go to our widget switcher, add a canvas panel to it. There it is, and just work on our options here and use this canvas panel as our options, but you know, for the sake of keeping things as separate as possible, we'll just do it this way. So let's add our options to our widget switcher, and let's work on our options. This is our dialog. This is our options. Here it is. For now, I'm just going to add a text, because we don't really need it to be in fancy letters at all. This is going to be our show unselectable options, and another text for our text speed. Obviously you can work on making them aligned and stuff, but I'm not going to bother. For the show unselectable options, we want a checkbox, and that would be this right here, checkbox. We just put it like that, and we'll call this show unselectable options, and make sure that it is a variable. The check state is our default check state. Unchecked is fine. There are a couple things in the style you could deal with, like how it looks like when it's checked, unchecked, etc. And we want to make sure that it is focusable and visible, otherwise we can't interact with it. For our text speed, we would want a slider, like so. And you'll notice that as you expand the slider or make it bigger, or actually not in the case of making it bigger, but as you expand the width, it also expands while keeping the value the same. So if we put the value to say 0.5, it's always going to be in the middle. So that's good. However, you'll also notice that it's just a slider. There's no like colorful bar or anything filling it up, and I would prefer to have a colorful bar filling it up. So to do that, we can use a progress bar. You can't interact with a progress bar. Well, I mean you can, but not in the way that you can interact with the slider. Let's move this progress bar behind our slider first off, so that we can actually see the slider in front of it. And I want this bar to go away, the one that the bar is sliding on. To do this, we can go to our slider. In the slider bar color, we could change the alpha to 0, or we could go to the style of our normal bar image and set the draw as to none. That would also get rid of it. The actual slider part, the actual thing we're sliding is also smaller than the progress bar, so I want to make that bigger. To do this, we can go to our where is it? Normal thumb image, that's the one. We can go to the image size in the Y, and we can expand this to however much we need to. I'm gonna put it to something like 40. That should work. Alright. And to make sure these are perfectly overlapped, the progress bar and the slider bar, what we can do is we can wrap them in a overlay. This allows widgets to be stacked on top of each other. So let's put this into our scene somewhere. Drag our progress bar into our overlay and our slider also into our overlay. Move this overlay over here. Set the progress bar to fill on both of these, and same with the slider. Okay, great, so that still works. Also, now it is too big slightly, so let's make this 40. 35? Sure, it's close enough, doesn't matter. Also for our progress bar, when you fill the percent, that's what it's going to be. If you want to change the color of it, you can go over to this appearance fill color and opacity and change that to be whatever you want. I'm going to stick with blue though, that's fine with me. And you can also change the background color of it over here in background image. We can change the tint to say red or whatever else you want it to be. Alternative, you could also use an image, but I don't have any images prepared. So we'll just stick with this. Go back to overlay, let's move this a little bit more over here and make it slightly smaller. Okay. So how do we get our slider, to move the progress of our progress bar? Also, I'm going to rename these because this is very inconvenient to keep saying. Okay, so this is going to be our text speed slider, and this is going to be our text speed progress bar. And to make it so that our slider affects our progress bar, what we can do is we can go to our slider, go all the way down to our functions or our events, and click on this on value change. So this will be called every time the value of our text speed changes. So let's click this. And what we want to do when we change the text speed in the with the bar is go to our progress bar and set percent. That's the one. Like so. Compile, save. Let's test this out. Go to our menu works too. So let's go to our graph, and on our options clicked. That's not the right one. This is the button. There it is. Unclicked. We will get our widget switcher. Set active widget index. I'm going to make this one 2. And Actually, we don't have to do anything else for now. So let's compile, save this, and press play. Go to our options. Options pop up, and now the bar affects the slider affects the bar. If we weren't doing that, let's go to our options and disconnect this. Break link. Press play, go to our options, and you would notice that the blue bar no longer goes with our progress bar. Reconnect this, compile, save. We also want the options button to affect, or the options button in our dialog to affect it too. So let's go to our options unclicked. We will remove ourselves from parent. Get our, actually this is pretty much the same thing. Let's copy, delete, and paste this. And the index is 2. Sorry, 2. Compile and save. So start the game, go to our options, there it is. And here we go. We can also check the show unselectable options. Speaking of that checkbox, by the way, if it is too small, you could use your own image for it, obviously by changing the style. In addition, you can go to our translation or transform translation or scale, and scale it up as you need. I'm going to make this 2 times bigger, so 2, 2, like so. Now we want these options to actually affect our dialog widget, so we would need a reference to our dialog widget in our options. So let's go to our variables, add a dialog widget, and its type is w underscore dialog object reference. There it is. Compile, save. Now the problem is that we need it to know what our dialog widget is, even when we're in the menu. Because if we press play and go to our options, we don't have our dialog widget yet because it hasn't been created. It's only created when we hit start. So let's change that in our menu. Instead of creating our actually, here, let's do this. In our options, we will ask if we can ask if our options has a dialog widget. Dialog widget is valid. So if it is valid, we will simply switch to show our options. Otherwise, if it is not valid, we will check to see if we have a dialog widget. So let's go dialog widget, here it is valid. Sorry, don't use this one. Is valid. And if it is valid, we will tell our dialog widget, our options widget, that's its dialog widget. So set dialog widget to be our dialog widget. And then we will set the active widget index again over here. However, if we also don't have a dialog widget, which we won't if we just started the game, what we need to do is we'll create a dialog widget. So we are going to create widget, dialog, test DLG, enter our participants, main menu is self, and our history is our history widgets right there. After that, we will set our dialog widget, our options, our options dialog widget to be the dialog we just created. We also have to set our own dialog widget to be that before we do this, like so. And now instead of directly creating a dialog widget when we hit start, we're going to check to see if we have a dialog widget first. So get dialog widget is valid. If it is not valid, we will create that dialog widget and set our dialog widget. Otherwise, if it is valid, we will just add it to the viewport and start the game. So instead of connecting our dialog widget directly in here, we will get our dialog widget like this. We can break these links like so. Technically, I don't think it actually matters because this is just a getter, I think, at the end of our set node, but it's whatever. It used to not have the getter at the end of our set nodes. I forgot when that was added, but it's a convenient thing that I don't actually ever use. Okay, so let's compile, save, and play. Go to our options and check to see if our options has a dialog widget, which we can't check because we didn't drag a node in here. Let's do that really quick. Now we hit play, go to our options, check our options, and this is still not showing anything because it should be connected to something. Let's just say show options. Sure, we'll do this in event tick. Why not? We're gonna get rid of that function anyways. Here we go, and our dialog widget is a thing. Alright, so that works. Or not. What is this error? Access. Oh, that's because when we hit play, the options still exist in our dialog switcher. So this error is being called before we hit the options, because the dialog widget does not exist, but that doesn't matter. So let's get rid of these. Compile, save, and now we want to actually change the variables in our dialog widget. So first one, the easiest one, is show selectable unselectable options. When the on-click state changed, let's overwrite that, and we're going to tell our dialog widget to set show unselectable options to be whatever our checkbox is. Compile, save, and let's test this out really quick. In order to test it out though, we obviously need a unselectable option, so let's go to here where all our options are. Let's make a new speech child, and this speech child will have a enter condition. We will check to see if, let's see, we can just check a random int call for Spheria. Affection is equal to, let's say, 9. It's over 9,000. So if it is greater than 9,000, we can enter here. The text will be, it's over 9,000. Save, play, start, trash. Nice to meet you. And it's over 9,000 is available because by default we actually have this checked. Let's uncheck this. Press play, start, trash, and it's not showing up. So if we go to our options and show unselectable options, go back, it's still not showing up. But if we ignore Spheria, and it does not show up still. Why is this happening? Go to our dialog context, show unselectable options. Where is this? This is false. Did that never get called for some reason? Is checked, boolean. Sorry, this should be running properly. Let me debug our options. Yeah, this is getting run. Right now it's false, now it's true. Let's go to our dialog. How many dialogues do we have? We only have that one. And this is still false. Alright, let's try something else. What is this error? Access 9 trying to read dialog widget. And it thinks that we don't have a dialog widget for whatever reason. Okay, so that could be a problem. I thought we just fixed this. Oh. Back on the menu, when we on-clicked the options, this is where we show our. This is where we set our dialog widget. However, we clicked on the options in our dialog widget, so it never actually set the dialog in here. So let's just get our dialog or in our options. We can do that by, let's say, get child at 2. We'll cast to a options. And then as an options, we will set the dialog widget to ourself. Sorry about that. That must have been infuriating for anybody who knew what the problem was. Strain this connection. Let's try that again. Compile, save, and play. Start, trash, go to our options, select it to be true, go back, still not showing up, but that's fine for now. And it shows up. Okay, so that's fine. Now we have to fix the issue of it not showing up the first time when we click the true. So when we do this checkbox, we're going to check to see if our dialog widget is typing or not. So get target text and get current text. We're going to ask if they're equal to each other. Branch, because if they are equal to each other, it means that we have finished typing. And if we have finished typing, that means we have also shown our options. And if we've shown our options, then we need to tell it to, well, re-show the options the correct way, or whatever way we want it to be now. So what we'll do is we'll get our dialog widget and tell it to hide options, and that's not a thing. Dialog, there is no hide. Choose options, show options, update text. Okay, that's because we're hiding our buttons over here as a function, or as a part of our update text. So let's just move this out to be part of its own function. Add custom event. We'll call this hide options, and we'll plug that in there. And over here we will simply call hide options. It will also save us some space, so let's break the link to that. Compile, save, go back to our options and tell it to hide options. And we'll tell it to show options again. One thing we can do before we do this though is if we wanted to check to see if we actually need to update our options or not, we can check to see if the current or dialog context get options num, or get option num, get option num from all, or get all option num. We'll check to see if these are not equal to each other. If they aren't equal to each other, that means our options would actually change. However, if they are equal to each other, then there's really no need to update our options because they wouldn't change. So let's compile, save, and play. Let's go back to start. We are trash. and let's go to our options, check this show unselectable options, go back, and it now shows up. If we go back to our options again and back, it now disappears. Alright, so that takes care of our show unselectable options. Let's deal with the text speed. This is actually pretty simple as well. We'll go to our text speed slider, and instead of choosing the instead of doing stuff on our onValue changed, we don't want to do it here because it's always going to be called every single time you change it, and it's not really necessary to do it that way. We can just do on mouse capture end. In other words, when we let go of our mouse. So when we confirm, that's where we want our text speed to be. We'll overwrite this one, and we'll tell our dialog widget to set text speed. And we want that speed to be equal to our progress bar, no, speed slider, there it is, get text speed slider. Now we don't want it to just, hold on, we can get progress, get slider value, get value, there it is. We don't want it to just pass in our value because our value is from where'd it go? Here it is. Our value is from 0 to 1, and we want the very end of it to be 0 because 0 is our instant type speed, and the closer you get to 0, the faster we're typing. And we don't want the beginning to be 0. We want it to be the slowest speed, whatever that's going to be. So instead, what we're going to do is we can get our value, because it goes from 0 to 1. What we can do is we can do a math function. What is it? Lerp. That's the one. We're going to lerp from, well, some value to some value. Our b is going to be 0, because that's going to be the end value. If our alpha over here is 1, that's what b is going to be. And our a is what it would be if our alpha was 0. So b is 0, and a is going to be, let's say, oh, what do I have actually right now? Text speed 0.01. Alright. 0.0, or sorry, that's 1.0. 0.01. There it is. And we'll pass that in as our text speed. Let's compile, save, and play. Start is typing out. Go to our options, change our text speed to instant. Go back and say trash. And now it instantly types. If we just change it to, okay, so that's another issue we'll deal with, but we'll deal with that later. If we change this to be something closer to our instant, we'll go back and do the next one. Now it just types out a lot faster than if we were to change it to be at the bottom. Back and give a gift. You'll notice that that's noticeably slower. I think that's still a little too fast though for the slowest speed, so let's go 0.005. No wait, that would make it faster, sorry, 0.05. That's what I was trying to do. Compile, save, play. Start, options, speed to be the slowest, back, and trash. Okay, that's really slow, but 0.035. Sorry, this is all up to you, of course, whatever speed you want to be the slowest and fastest. But that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's all done. The issue of the speed not showing up to be what it should be, or what this bar is not being what it should be. If we start, go to our options, you'll notice that this bar is not where it needs to be at all. Okay, we can just take care of that in our oh shoot, what was it? Event construct. That's what it was. This fires every time it gets called back on screen, so we can just say get our text speed slider and set the value to be equal to our dialog widget. There it is. Get dialog widget and get text speed. And we would sort of do a reverse of this lerp here. So ours we would do a lerp. And this lerp is going to actually be how we're going to get the lerp for another lerp to actually get our text speed. But that's, hold on, let me deal with this really quick because I can't think right now. Our text speed goes in our alpha. If the text speed is 0, then our A is going to be 1, obviously, because that would, because the slowest text speed will be at the end of the bar. However, our text speed is never going to be it's never going to get up to 1. Our text speed is going to be 0.035 at best. So B is going to be 0.035. Okay, and then what we're going to do with that is, actually, you know what? There's an easier way to do this. You'll notice that when we hit play and our options, the bar is over here, right? We start, go to our options, change our text speed to say full, go back to our options. This bar is still at the end because it knows what it's supposed to be. So we can just get our progress bar and get percentage, there it is, and plug that in there. Start options, move it there, back options. Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, that works a lot better. Yeah. So ignore that past part. I wish I knew how to edit videos. If I did, I would totally edit it out, but maybe I will someday. We're gonna deal with saving our options in another video when we actually have all our options, or maybe actually in the next video we might deal with it, but we're not gonna do it in this one because I don't want to screw it up and have to re-record it after making too many mistakes in this take. So I'll see you in the next video.